All right. We're back. It's spoiler season, and we've got some cards to talk about. So let's kind of just jump straight in it. We left off last night with Villas Broker of Blood. Pretty cool card. Some people were trying to compare it to Grizzlebrand and things of that nature. I think anytime we see a big 8/8 demon, we gotta talk about Grizzlebrand a little bit. Even though he's kind of a meme in the 8/8 for 8 department. Anyway, this one's pretty sweet, and I think the general consensus of Villas was we've got to find a way to cheat it onto the battlefield, right? So we were not left disappointed. Spoilers will give us some good action. If you guys seen the thumbnail, we got our way to cheat him onto the battlefield. We've got a lot of other sweet cards though, and we're going to start here with Aerial Assault. 2 and a white for a sorcery that will destroy target tapped creature. You'll gain 1 life for each creature you control with flying. That's okay. I mean, if there's a blue-white flyers deck out there, then yeah, then this is probably going to be pretty sweet. Let's kill this music altogether. Aerial Assault. You're really gonna need the right deck for it. Power wise, I don't think that the deck or the cards amazing in limited. This is probably going to be a good piece of removal, as it will destroy target tapped creature. If you have 0 creatures with flying, you just don't gain any life. So it'll still be decent removal in your limited experience. I doubt it gets much standard play because we pretty much just have better ways to deal with most things. So Blood Burglar here, next card. This is a 2-mana 2/2 Vampire Rogue. As long as it's your turn, it has lifelink. Okay, I like my 2-mana 2/2s. That part's pretty sweet. Has lifelink on my turn, so okay, doesn't block well, but gets sideways pretty decent. Not really a ton to say about it, except for we need to see if the vampire deck needs more 2-drops. If we do need 2-drops, and if we need to be gaining life on, say, turn 3, then it could be extremely relevant to have this as a 2-drop. So we'll have to see how that vampire deck develops. But overall, I don't think this is a card that just says, hey, if you're running a black deck, you have to have me. So the card's not bad. And again, if we do see the tribal deck start to form, there may be a place for it. Next here, we've got Boneclad Necromancer. 3 mana, or 3 generic and double black for a human wizard that when it enters the battlefield, you may exile target creature card from a graveyard. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. I wanna like this, right? Because it's a 5 mana, 5 power, 5 toughness spread over 2 bodies. If you can exile a creature card from a graveyard. Now, that normally doesn't sound that bad, but we know that we're currently playing in a meta where even the Esper decks are starting to drop Hero of Precinct 1, and they're just running only the Basilicas. So there's decks out there that don't have a lot of creature cards to put in their graveyard in the first place. So this would definitely be dead in those situations. But again, I think that there's just much better ways to spend 5 mana. But the card's not the worst printed card in the world. It has some use. It's no small thing to be able to take a specific creature out of a graveyard. So, I mean, this may have some use in draft or something, but I don't think this gets much standard play. It is a human wizard, though, and makes a zombie, so there may be something, but I'm not seeing it. We've got Frostlinks. This is a reprint. I forget where it came from, but it's an elemental cat. That's right. 2 and a blue will give you Frostlinks, elemental cat 2/2. That when it enters the battlefield, it frost breaths something. Tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Frostlinks got play in the past when it was in print. It just depends on if there's the right deck for it. Where it ended up fitting in last time I remember the deck was in an Is It type deck that was wanting to be fairly fast, but wanted to make sure that blockers would get out of the way. And this card would sometimes come down on 3, of course, but there were most times where it would come down on turns, 4 or 5 to remove a blocker and put your opponent into an unfavorable blocking situation, and Frostlinks was really good at that. So the 3 converted mana cost overall does keep the card on the lower end of the spectrum, so it can fit in some of those more aggressive decks. And I think 3 versus 4 converted mana cost, which we normally see this on like Drakes and things like that at 4 converted mana cost. I think that kind of crosses the line on which decks that this type of card can go in. So I like seeing Frostlinks here, and it's also an elemental. It's no small thing that it's an elemental, and we are searching for teamer elementals here. It's one of the decks that I see being pushed in some of these cards, so I want to see what it looks like once, like what is this pushed deck. There's a lot of really sweet elemental cards and elementals matter cards. Kind of like the vampires deck seems to be a little pushed. So I definitely want to see those decks, after they've been created. Like what was the purpose of pushing so hard? Is this really a good deck? And I really want to see that. And Frostlinks could definitely show up in that teamer elemental deck. So imagine tapping something down and you have an Omnath. So you, oh no, you wouldn't put +1. No, never mind. You would have to play Omnath afterwards, right? Yeah, tapping something down, keeping it tapped for a moment, and then Omnath. Even if you just tap down a Llanowar Elf, that's not horrible. Next here we have a throwback to a Goblin Tunneler, which was a 2-mana 1/1 that didn't have haste, and you could tap it for this same ability. This is a 3-mana 2/2 with haste, still a Goblin Rogue, but another target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. That's actually not that bad if you have a way to increase the power of the creature after you have given it this ability. So like you can give a 0/2 this ability and then pump it to a 10/2, and it would be able to swing. So that's it. Just needs to have power 2 or less to be targeted. Once it can't be blocked this turn, then you can pump it up as much as you want, which is pretty sweet in and of itself. Moving on from Goblin Smuggler here. I mean, the card's pretty good, and we are seeing some Goblin cards. So the card, it's decent and may get some play. I kind of like the 2 converted mana cost, but it could fit on the curve fairly well with being 3 converted mana cost, and could let you get the Legion War bosses or the Krinkos, across the finish line a little bit, which all in all could be worth it. Next here we've got another elemental. This is a Lava Can Brawler, which is 3 and a red for an elemental warrior that's a 2/4, and when it attacks it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each elemental you control. Okay, another elemental payoff. Be it a little bit of a, I don't know how much I really like this card. 4 mana for a 2/4, yes. It gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each elemental you control. It'll count itself, so it'll always be swinging as a 3/4. That's okay. This may be just a huge powerhouse in an elemental deck. I don't necessarily see it. I don't think that this is how I want to spend 4 mana in that deck. I think that 4 mana spells should kill your opponent, but then again, this could definitely kill your opponent. The card's okay. Again, we need to see what the rest of that teamer elemental deck looks like. But hey, this is another tool for our toolbox if we're looking for that deck. This is another tool for that toolbox. Leafkin Druid is an elemental druid, 1 and a green, so 2 mana for a 0/3, and it has tap and add 1 green mana. If you control 4 or more creatures, add 2 green mana instead. Okay, I'm wanting to play a bunch of elementals anyway. It's a Llanowar, or it's a Paradise Druid that survives things on turn 2. I mean, it doesn't survive Lightning Strike, right? Paradise Druid can not be Lightning Strike. I mean, maybe this is better than Paradise Druid. I think this is definitely playable. If Paradise Druid's playable, this is playable. But the hexproof of Paradise Druid makes it really, really good. However, you start getting some creatures down. I mean, heaven forbid you go Land of War on 1, this, and maybe another Land of War on 2, even a Pelt Collector or something, and then turn 3. Where do you get an elemental out? We need more elementals. Need more elementals. This is the elemental deck. Um, if you use little Chandra, all right, you make 2 elementals. You got this in a Land of War if you have 4 creatures. Um, that's viable. That's viable. I'm sure somebody's going to come up with a much better line than I did. By all means, let me know in the comment section what you think. What was the better? What kind of amazing lines have you seen so far with Leafkin Druid? I do think that it's definitely going to be in the elemental deck for sure. Squad captain, 4 and a white for a 2/2. Okay. This is a human wizard with vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, it gets a +1/+1 counter for each creature you control. All right, that could be huge, or it could be a 2/2. High ceiling on this card, low floor. A 5-mana 2/2 does not sound good to me. So, like, if let's say you had a bunch of 1/1s and they had some instant speed way to wipe those with this entering the battlefield, like, so with this on the stack, sweep your board, you get a 2/2. I don't like it. I don't like it. That now, then again, there's probably some way to just make it a 100/100 too as well. So I don't know. Thicket Crasher here, 3 and a green for a 4/3. Well, we're kind of passing the vanilla test. Other elementals you control have trample. This thing has trample as well. It's an elemental rhino. It looks like a plague running through the forest. That art, it's got me. That rhino is vicious. Thicket Crasher, trample. Other elementals you control have trample. It's aptly costed. Do we want trample with our elementals? Are we worried about getting over a bunch of little 1/1s? Is that necessary? I think this is a tool that the elementals deck will have available to them that is playable. Do I think the card's great? Do I think it's horrible? No, I just think that it's a tool that we may need if there are a lot of Saheeli decks out there making a bunch of 1/1s, and then trying to like steal Overseer, pump those or something. We might need to crash over the top of a bunch of 1/1s, and then in which case we may want trample. So trample's good. Trample right now gets around like Hero of Precinct 1 blockers and things like that. Can help you get in on your opposing planeswalkers and things. So trample is really good, and it's good to know that the elemental deck definitely has more tools. Like, you guys are with me on the elementals are being pushed here a little bit, right? Teamer's back. Moving on to Winged Words. This is possibly one of the better cards that came from today. This is a 2 and a blue for this 2 and a blue for a divination, right? Draw 2 cards, but this spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a creature with flying. This is big for the flying deck, right? Like, we know we still have favorable winds. We have a bunch of really sweet little flyers. We can crank these out quick. There seems like there's going to be a mono blue combo in the format with it's just going to be this huge 6-mana combo with Omniscience with Flood. So like there's going to be some interesting cards or interesting decks. Mono blue may survive. I just think that it'll morph, and if it does, this is a card that's going to go in it. All right, you don't have to discard a card. It's just straight card advantage, and I love 2-mana divination. So if I can find a way to divination, chart a course for chart a course with value, right? So you attacked, but you can do this pre-combat now, right? So if you have a flyer, if you've got a Drake, if you like, although the Drake stacks probably still want to have the option to be able to discard a card, so maybe not. But I really like this card. I think this card's got merit, and it looks like it's pretty good. Favorable winds is still going to be around. We may see that deck, and if we do see that deck, although that deck's probably blue-white, if we do see that deck, then we'll probably see this card in it. So, yeah. Moving on, Cavalier of Thorns. Alright, so this is a 5-mana, 5/6. This card's actually pretty interesting. I don't have the art because it's a foreign translation. And we have noticed over the past couple days that a couple of the words haven't been translated exactly correctly. I can't remember one right off the top of my head, but 2 and 3 green for a 5/6 with reach. It's an elemental. The Cavalier of Thorns. When Cavalier of Thorns enters the battlefield, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may choose a land card from among them and put it into play, and put the rest of the cards into your graveyard. All right, so a couple big ones, stick out for me right there. It's any land, so less of a restriction there. We're going 5 cards deep. The land goes straight into play. It doesn't say enters the play tapped, so the land just enters play. If the land has a restriction where it would enter tapped, then it will enter tapped. If it doesn't have a restriction, if it's a shock land, you may shock or whatever. If it's as Arch of Araska, yeah, if it's Arch of Araska, you will then count to see if you have your 10 permanents. Like these things will happen. The second one is the rest of the cards go in the graveyard, right? So that's 4 cards in the graveyard. That means if there's another land in there you didn't want, that puts lands in the graveyard, which does matter for our little elf dude we've seen. We've got a couple other lands in graveyard matters type things. So those will go to the graveyard. You may have some creatures that you dumped in the graveyard, so this may be good in some type of green-black variant in order to cheat our demon out, because we also need to get our demon into the graveyard in order to be able to cheat it out. So Cavalier of Thorns might have some room somewhere. I hate the triple green and 2, but that's just part of it. But wait, there's more. It's got a second ability. When it dies, you may exile it. If you do, return another target card from your graveyard to the top of your library. Alright, so the first half was looking great, right? It was great. We were digging, we were filling our graveyard. So as Dev would say, this is a milkshake. It brings your boys to the yard. And then you get, this is like Super Explorer, right? Enters the battlefield, you look at 5 cards, one of them goes straight, like a land goes straight to the battlefield. Everything else, you just dump it straight into the graveyard. That seems pretty decent to me. But the exile it part, you return target card from your graveyard to the top of your library. So if you did find one of those things in that 5 that you're like, whoa, I really didn't want to lose that, you can choose to draw that later if you can somehow get this to die. And that may not be the worst, the hardest thing in the world, but it may not be as easy as you think either. It does have 6 toughness. Also has reach. Really good at blocking, drakes and dragons and things like that. It is noteworthy that it has 6 toughness with reach, so it can, kill most dragons, even the ones with +1/+1 counters on them that like to spit fire at people. Yeah, I mean, so the 5/5 Skargan Hellkites, 4/4s are definitely not a problem here. Just a lot of options. The problem with the 5/5 Skargan Hellkite is it could also do points of damage to the Cavalier, and that would be a good way to get it killed. So I guess depending on how you're looking at it, this card could be great. Could be really great. Next, we've got another one. This is Audacious Thief. Translation could be wrong on that, but we've got 2 and a black for a 2/2. A little overpriced for a bear. But when it attacks, draw a card and lose a life. Not when it hits, not when it deals combat damage. You just need to turn it sideways, draw a card, lose a life. I want to like this so much. Oh, I want to like this card. If it had Menace, I would have been all over it. Glint Sleeve Siphoner has ruined me on card engine bears, right? It's just ruined me. I really want something like this, and I'm begging for something like this, but it needs to be at the 2-drop slot or it's just not playable. And why did you even print this if I can't play it? Thanks, Wizards. Thanks. Got my hopes up. Really wanted a Glint Sleeve Siphoner. You don't even have to reprint the rest of Energy. Just give me Glint Sleeve back, right? Another big note here. We did get the gain a life lands. These enter the battlefield, tap, and you gain 1 life. Okay, that's not the worst thing in the world. There's a lot of ways to gain value off of gaining life. So these may end up seeing some play in certain situations. We were going to have these with the Scry lands. We did see all 10 of the Tranquil Coat, like the gain life lands. What do you call these lands, right? The life gain lands? Yeah. We got to have a nickname for these. Anyway, there may be some decks that are like 2-color decks that are still going to run, you know, your you're not your fetch lands, but your shock lands and your buddy lands, and then they're gonna have like maybe 1 or 2 other lands in their deck that are split lands. Some of those decks may run the Scry lands. Other of those decks may run the gain 1 life. You may even still want to run a Guild Gate, but for the next few months, you're going to have a lot of options on what you want to run as your additional lands. So we're just kind of like all full on dual lands. Like you could technically run like 20 dual lands, 16 dual lands of most colors. Yeah, like 16 dual lands of most colors if you wanted to. I'm not advising that at all, but you could. Yeah, you could do that. Maybe 20. Are the other ones still around? Just enter the battlefield tap? Holy cow. Somebody's going to do that. Somebody's going to do it. Moving on, we've got Murder. This is your generic black kill spell right here. You're constantly hearing me talk about the vanilla test. This is it for black kill spells. This is what you would compare other black kill spells to. A 2-mana black kill spell will be better than this, so therefore it should have some type of restriction. A 4-mana black kill spell will be worse than this, therefore it should have some additional benefit. Cases in point, you have cards like Doomblade or Cast Down. I'll use Cast Down because it's standard. Cast Down will not kill a legendary creature because it's 2 mana. There's a drawback. Vraska's Contempt, it doesn't just kill it, it will exile it, and you gain some life. So paying the extra mana, you know, you get some extra benefits. This is the spell that that we compare our black spells to. So just having the black version of Cancel in standard is okay. Cancel would be the comparison for counter spells if you want to compare those. But yeah, this is just part of how I evaluate cards, is using, you know, baseline spells like Murder, and it's always decent to have the baseline in standard. You're really hoping for Shock and Lightning Strike to get reprinted. Do we lose Shock, or do we lose Lightning Strike? I know we lose Shock. I'm pretty sure we lose Shock. We also got the tap lands, Scoured Barrens, which is the Orzhov one, Dismal Blackwater for the Dimir. We've got the Rakdos with Bloodfell Caves, Jungle Hollow for the Golgari deck, and then and a few more that are scattered through this. But for right now, let's talk about Cloudkin Seer. This is another elemental wizard. 3 mana for an elemental wizard. So let's read this card. 2 and a blue for a flying 2/1 that Enters the battlefield, draw a card. Alright. So it's 3 mana, replaces itself, has a little bit of evasion, can block some things profitably, right? Like you can kill some 2 toughness stuff with this. You know, it's an elemental, fits in the elemental deck. What was the last time that we had a card like this in Teamer? Oh, Rogue Refiner. Yes. You play it, you draw a card, you get some other benefit. What's the other benefit? It's an elemental. We're playing it in an elemental deck. So you could draw a card and get additional benefit off of having this. This will probably get play, guys. And it's a wizard. Because why not? Why not? Elemental wizard. Let's go. Where's my elemental vampire? I've seen an elemental like zombie knight dude. Right? It was an elemental knight. Elemental wizards. Like elemental druid. Where's my elemental vampire? Right? Elemental vampire. Would it be Aetherborn? Yeah? Huh? Somebody? Anybody? No? Okay. Rugged Highlands is your Gruul's gain life land. We got Windscarred Crag for the Boros. And then it brings us to the Tombbound Lich. This card might be playable, guys. This is a blue and a black for Death Touch lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then discard a card. Okay. So 3 mana, dare you to block me. I'll gain life, or I'll trade with you, and all we have to do is like we loot just for playing it, like just for getting it onto the battlefield. Not playing it, but when it enters the battlefield, we get to loot. It deals combat damage, we get to loot. If they don't let it loot, then it kills something. 3 toughness is no joke. I mean, you get to swing into like Virashino Pyromancers and things of that nature, so not bad. Also, you're gaining life, you're killing things. This seems okay. This card seems adequate. Zombie Wizard. Yep, it's a Lich. Liches are normally powerful, and this one doesn't actually disappoint. I actually like this one. We also got Evolving Wilds, because sure, got to make sure Evolving Wilds stays around. That actually brings us to like a ton of lands, split lands, for the draft format. So if you guys are like into drafting and sealed and things like that, there's going to be a ton of split lands. All right, here we go. Blood for Bones, 3 and a black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you do have to sacrifice a creature, but this is the one I was waiting for. Return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then return another creature card from your graveyard to your hand. What? Okay, so I sack a dude, I bring back my 8/8, and then I get back the dude that I sacked? I'll take it. I'll take it. So I've got some dude who has a sweet enter the battlefield trigger. Oh, let's say it's Hostage Taker that I took a token, right? I took somebody's token. I just bounced their token. Now I sack that Hostage Taker to cast this to get back my 8/8 demon, and I get my Hostage Taker back from the graveyard. I'm 99% sure that works, because you're putting the Hostage Taker in the graveyard as an additional cost to cast this. So like you're sacrificing the creature as a casting cost. So this would be in the graveyard. The Hostage Taker would be in the graveyard for a legal target for this. I'm pretty sure. Oh, this doesn't even target. Return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then return another creature card from the graveyard to your hand. This doesn't even target. So this doesn't actually check for you to target anything until it resolves. So yes, you would be able to bring back that creature that you sacrificed. 99.9% sure of that now. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I know somebody will. You like this one better than the last one? Are we talking about the Tombbound Lich? Was that what you were talking about? Next here we've got Mask of Immolation. One in a red. Artifact equipment. We've seen a few of these now. This one looks like it's one of the better ones. When Mask of Immolation enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token. So we've got a 2 mana 1/1 that even when they kill it or we kill it, we get to keep an artifact around that gives us something. That may not be horrible. Anyway, equipped creature has sacrificed this creature. It deals 1 damage to any target. So we could re-equip this for 2 and then just start shooting things, right? I really wish it would have been something more powerful, like it deals damage equal to its power to any target. That wouldn't have been broken, right? That would have been broken. Yeah, that would have been too much. Either way, it will allow you to have something that you could put on something that you needed to protect from exile. Like, so if there's a card that you just got to make sure that you want to protect it, or if there's a card that you're like, I want to do this thing. Like, I don't know what the thing would be, but I want to do this thing every turn, and it requires me to sacrifice a creature. You could always just play, have your Mask of Immolation equipped to that creature, then sacrifice that creature. That does leave a time where somebody can slip in with like a Vraska's Contempt or something, and that would always hurt. But yeah, Mask of Immolation. All right, sweet. Next here we've got Moat Piranhas. I don't know what to say about this card other than I love defenders with power, right? Like, you see so many defenders that are like 0/5s, but you only had to pay 2 mana for it. Yes, I'm talking about you, Wall. This defender's got teeth. It's a piranha, right? And it's really important because, like, where are you going to put this particular card? Right off the bat, you think of Arcades or the High Alert deck, right? Okay, so we're going to stick this in the Arcades to High Alert deck. Why do we want this, and why is power important? Because if you have, let's say you have 3 0/3s, your opponent says, well, I've got 4 attackers, I can swing, doesn't matter. One of them's getting through, and they just get to swing. You block, yes, you stop 3 of their attackers from getting through, but it didn't shy them away. They didn't lose a creature. They add another creature. Next turn, they're swinging with 5. You can still only block 3. However, if you do have a defender with some power, it changes all of that, right? Like, now they can't attack you directly into a bunch of 0/5 walls because of this 1/3/3, right? Because you stand the chance that, yes, I'll do profitable blocks, and now I actually can profit over them by eating. You're talking about versus mono red, eating a Viashino Pyromancer, eating a Get to Lava Runner, something of that nature, and I'll put the 0/5 in front of the Goblin Chain Whirler, and now I can keep you at a creature parity. So you are losing something, and that normally is enough to keep someone from swinging into a bunch of walls. So just the fact that the Moat Piranhas are around, well priced, 2 mana for a 3/3, and it goes on curve with your high alerts and things like that. So yeah, this could have been one of the cards. This could be one of the cards that Arcades is needing to be more competitive, or to stay relevant, just because it's a defender with some power. Maybe you think there are better cards to sideboard in on that matchup. Yeah, I think that there's probably better cards you want, period. But if you're in that defender deck, you're in that Walls Matter deck, that Arcades High Alert deck, you probably want this. You probably want Moat Piranhas, and again, I see more power in Moat Piranhas than I should probably be giving it time for, because it is just a 3/3 defender common. But we kind of need more of that to make that deck work. All right, next here we've got this. This is a pretty serious card, right? Sephiroth Skies, 4 and triple white. Oh my goodness, 7 mana. How am I ever going to pay 7 mana to have a 7/7? Oh, legendary angel. You know what? We could just pay 1 white and tap 4 untapped creatures we control with flying rather than pay this spell's converted mana cost. Okay. All right. So we got to have some flyers. All right. That's probably doable. Yeah, we can have flyers. Other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. All right, so we're in blue-white flying. We've got a bunch of little flyers. We can get Seraph down fairly cheaply for 1 white and tap some things, and then we can play some more stuff. You can tap 4 untapped creatures. Those creatures could have summoning sickness, right? So Healer's Hawk is mana parity. Like Healer's Hawk just it's free because you're just going to tap it that turn to cast her. That's probably pretty good. There's probably something worth noting here, and the fact that they all become indestructible after that is pretty good. Like that's pretty good, right? You can probably do something with this angel. Like I can see somebody making this the top end of some type of mono white flyers or blue white flyers deck. Sephiroth seems decent. Seems good. Next here, I think these are like planeswalker decks. We've got a bunch of 6 mana planeswalkers. And the first one's a Johnny. It's got a +2 ability on it. You gain 2 life. You can put up to 2/1/1 counters on up to 1 target creature. It's not bad. I really like his -3 ability. So like you get a 5 loyalty planeswalker. You down tick him -3, and exile target creature. Yeah, its controller is going to gain 2 life, but hey, whatever. And then -10. This is what like makes you go, "That's a planeswalker card," because the ultimate sucks, right? And like impossible to ever get to. Creatures you control gain flying and double strike until end of turn. Just until end of turn. I get 1 turn of this. Whatever. But the +2 and the -3 both seem relevant. I also like the fact that you can play this. You can down tick -3 and then up tick on the next turn, and then down tick again. You still having a Johnny, right? So he's got a good play pattern to him of down up down, and sticking around, down up down, and sticks around. I'll take that one. Yeah, I'll take that. Not bad. Not bad. Let's look at the blue one here. This is Muyangling. I just want to call her Yingling. Anybody ever had a Yingling? Anyway, Celestial Wind, 4 and double blue, +1 until your next turn. Up to 1 target creature gets -5, -0. No, you are not hitting me. Return up to you can -3 return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. That's a major tempo gain right there, right? I don't like the down up down because she doesn't stick around, right? She'll do the down up down, but she ain't sticking around. So you could play her down tick, bounce 2 creatures, next turn up tick on the one that they replay, right? And then she goes back to 3, and then on the next turn you could down tick and bounce them again. But again, she would be dead at that point. And so if she had a +2, I think it would be even more powerful. But it's just a +1, so. You've also got the -7 creatures you control with flying get +5/+5 until end of turn, right? They're doing better with the Planeswalker deck. Planeswalkers. We'll talk about Noxious Grass in a minute. I know I've skipped it. I want to knock these Planeswalkers out really quick. Sauron Vampire Lord, another 6 mana walker, so 4 and double black. You get a +1 until end. Up to 1 target creature gets +2, +0 until end of turn, and then it's got a -2. So Sauron deals 4 damage to any target, and you gain 4 life. That's pretty powerful. Protects itself, so you can play this down tick, destroy something, gain some life. Next turn, up tick, You get the +1, and then down tick the following turn after that. You still have a Sorin around, so even Sorin, hey, you know, down, up, down, and he'll stick around. I'm just gonna ride that joke out. I'm just gonna ride that one to the end of these. Until the end of turn, though, each vampire you control gain control of target creature. Whoa, whoa, yeah. That one's okay. I can. The problem with that is you've got to +4 turns to get there, or you're gonna need some help. You could probably get some help, some elder spells, stuff like that. But if you got there and you actually had a couple creatures on the battlefield, but then again, you need your opponent to have some creatures on the battlefield too, right? Like, so you need to be playing some Magic. You need to be in this board-like state even to just be able to take over with it. Either way, though, that ultimate looks pretty sweet and very flavorful, right? The ultimate is very flavorful. All right, we've got a couple more here. We've got Chandra, Flames Fury. We've already talked about some Chandras. 6 mana Chandra deals 2 damage to any target for the +1. For the -2, Chandra deals 4 damage to target creature and 2 damage to that creature's controller. The -8, Chandra deals 10 damage to target player and each creature that player controls. That's pretty sweet, right? And we all love Chandra, right? Because she'll do the down, up, down and stick around. I had to. She was printed right. Anyway, love some Chandra. Chandra is always one of my favorite walkers. Anyway, Chandra's great here. I actually like this Chandra. I mean, the plus just giving you a shock every turn does really help protect itself. But you can do that to any target. All right, I'm going to +2 shock your planeswalker, +2 shock you, shock your creature, whatever. Oh, that creature's a little too big. Fine, well, -2 and deal 4 damage to it. By the way, take 2 anyway, right? So that's not bad. Again, this is like Sorin. You're gonna have to go for a couple turns before you ever get the ultimate off. But if you do, the ultimate's pretty damning. That would set the board. A one-sided wrath like that, it's got to send things in your favor, right? Getting dressed now. You guys are watching me while you're getting dressed. That's great. We also got a Vivian, Nature's Avenger. 4 and double blue. The +1 is put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. The -1 is reveal cards from the top of your library until you find a creature card. Nope, just not. I didn't say a number. Just keep revealing, keep flipping cards over until you find a creature. Put that creature in your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So just whatever you revealed, shuffle those, put them on the bottom of your library, and move on. Very simple card. You don't have to worry about counting out numbers. You don't have to worry about, oh, they seen an extra card, that sort of thing. So well printed for, like, I'm just going to say I like that. I like that, these are meant to be for beginners. So you should have some things like that in there. And Vivian can down, up, down all day long. All right, I just want to say you can down tick her, you can up tick her, down tick her. Like, she just does all the things all day. It's great. You've only got to up tick 3 turns before she'll go off. It's great. This is just going further and further downhill, and I'm allowing it. I'm sorry. Target creature gets +10/+10 and gains trample until end of turn. It's pretty decent, right? At least he's not sitting in the dark watching me, right? Just madness, just laying on his bed in the dark, watching. Creepy. Anyway, Vivian's pretty sweet, all right? She's quickly becoming one of my favorite. Like, she passed Nissa as my favorite green walker, but I think that's just because she reminds me of my wife, though. Right? I hope she hears those jokes. I will catch so much hell. Moving on, we've got Noxious Grass. This is another one of those color hosing cards, right? Noxious Grass is a Doom Blade of sorts. Destroy target creature or planeswalker that's green or white. There's a You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Smile going through my face as Teferi's white. Um, yeah, that's enough already. But Nissa is green. Vivian is green. Kiora might end up seeing some play. She's green. What this doesn't get is Bolus. This does not help you versus the Bolus decks. This does not help you versus Izzet decks, Shalai, or sorry, it will kill Shalai. It'll kill her easily. Anyway, so not against the destroy target Teferi, Nissa, or Vivian. There you go. That's enough said, right? And that's good hosiery, but it's also creatures. So pretty much anything in that Bant list. Do they have just a strictly blue creature? I don't think so. This also kills Deputy of Detentions. So yeah. I mean, this is it's pretty decent, right? Like, oh, did I forget to mention you gain a life? What the hell? You gain life? I'm actually thinking this is playable, guys. There are enough green decks out there and enough white decks. Okay, you're not playing against green. Fine, you're playing against Esper. The only time you don't like this is you're playing against Grixis, or you're playing against is it like Dimir? You don't like this in the Dimir matchup, so it doesn't kill armies. You don't like this in the mono red matchup. Okay, all right. So maybe there are enough matchups, but there's also pretty much every other deck you do, right? Not sure why you gain life, but whatever. Yeah, right. Like, seriously, you needed to tack that on? This is green and white. Destroy all target creature or planeswalker that's green or white. Like, we're putting a lot of restrictions here. Let them gain a life, right? Like, where's the design? How do you get from murder to this? And then you have to go back and go, I think they need to gain one life for that. That being said, I mean, there's a vampire that could make use of that. Right? You gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on your vampire. Alright, so I remove a blocker. I put a +1/+1 counter on my vampire. I'm going to swing in. I dealt damage with a vampire that had lifelink or whatever. Gain more life, get another counter. Sure. 100%. 100% sideboard card, and it's probably the sideboard card we're looking for. Like, a lot of times we're trying to put like the extra cast downs and things in the side, and this is probably like what belongs in that slot. Granted, that's going to be deck dependent, but I'm loving the hosing cards. Like, we want to hose a certain deck. I'm loving having these this will hose your deck card. So pretty sweet. That's going to do it. I'll refresh just to make sure, but I think that does it for. Nope, we got a new card. Kithis, the Hidden Hand. Oh, somebody was talking shit about Abzan never getting their 3-colored guy. This is a 3-mana 3/4. Yeah. It's an Elf Advisor, and legendary spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. You can exile 2 legendary cards from your graveyard until end of turn. Each legendary card in your graveyard gains. You may play this card from your graveyard. Is this good? Is this good? So you exile 2 artifacts. Those are legendary. No, okay, they have to be legendary, not historic. Alright, damn it. Alright, readjusting thinking. Still probably good, right? Bye, Fibblethep. Bye, Fibblethep. Huh. The pen is mightier than the crown. Maybe. Let's see. You know what? There's probably tons and tons of sweet interactions with this. I can't personally think of them other than get rid of some Pibblethupps and then cast some other stuff from the graveyard. I do like the fact that this is 3 converted mana cost though, because that fits in a world where you can run some like Tishar and get this back from the graveyard for casting. I need legendary permanent. I need a legendary. Legendaries are historic though. Yeah. Does this work with Tishar? Do we get some like jank going on here? Like I keep looking at it going, this seems great. Does it really? Is it really great? I don't know. We'll see though. I'm sure there's going to be some more cards out there. I'm sure you Abzan fans are probably mad right now. Or you're like, oh my god, I can do this, and then I can do that, and then I can do that, and that, and this. It's going to be great. Let me know in the comments how you're going to break Kithis, the Hidden Hand. I'm interested. I want to know. Let me know. Kithis, the Hidden Hand. Break it. Break it. Let me know in the comments. That's going to do it for our spoiler show, though. We've had a pretty interesting day of spoilers. A lot of new spoilers come out. Still no Termagoyf, right? Still no Goyf. So are we just getting trolled? Right? It's the #1 photo on Google if you search Goyf and M20. So is it just a troll? Will we find out? When do we find out? Do we get Goyf? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. As always, my name's Eric. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had fun. We'll see you next time here on the Sideboard MTG.